This is my prayer. In all sincerity, I would literally say, before any type of ministry thing, I would say, God, please don't let me say the F word. Like, please don't let me drop the F-bomb. Like, if I say any other of the cuss words, like, that's cool. I can recover from those. But the F word will definitely get me kicked out of here. So that was literally my prayer. And every once in a while, I got to throw it in because you just never know. But, yeah, this is my story, what it was like to become a pastor. So I was not raised in any type of religious family. We didn't go to church together. I checked out a couple churches here and there when I was a kid, but that's just because I was from the South, and that's kind of what you did. Like, you just kind of went to youth group and checked out churches and stuff, but that's more cultural than anything. Through my teens, I really struggled with just drug addiction and alcoholism, stuff that I promise I'm going to talk about in the future. But at 19, I got clean and sober, and about 9 or 10 months into being off drugs and alcohol, I started playing drums at this little Methodist church in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, for like $100 like a week or something like that. And I wasn't a Christian or anything, but they let me hang out. They let me play little drums. They let me make a little cigarette money, and so that was really like my first time into church. And it was from that little church where I started getting curious. I started asking questions, and eventually I got saved. I got converted. I started a relationship with Jesus, and that's really where it started for me. My spirituality just came to a whole new level, and I was a Christian, and I loved it, and it was cool, but I was still kind of like struggling through a lot. So, if I was to look at the timeline of my life, it wasn't like all up and to the right. Like, I incorporated Jesus into my life, and I started, doing my best to be a believer, but I had some dark seasons and some steps backwards and forwards and just this one big beautiful mess. But that's really where it started for real, was in Mississippi, and I was 19. And so I skipping some stuff. I got invited to play drums and be a Bible study teacher at this Baptist camp. I think it was like my sophomore year of college. And so basically I played drums all summer long, and then led this group of like students, it's a Southern Baptist thing, so it was like big. It was like games and church, and it was just wild and crazy. If you ever been to church camp, it was like the ultimate church camp, and I had no idea how much like passion and excitement it would bring me. And I remember that summer going like, this was kind of cool, playing drums and working with teenagers around like Jesus and God and stuff. Like, it was really rewarding. So I always thought in the back of my mind, maybe can you get paid to do this? Like, is this a career? Like, I don't know. But basically went back to life as normal, and so kind of put that out of my mind, to be honest. As some of you guys know, I spent a season where I quit school and joined a rock band and toured around and just had a blast. That was one of the coolest seasons of my life. Spiritually, it was probably one of the lower seasons of my life. Made some decisions that helped get me to where I am today. But it was a blast, man. It was so much fun. It was so awesome creating and making music. And so I did that for a while. Dark Nights at Camelot was really awesome. And then I had a really profound spiritual experience. I think it was the summer of 2008 or 2009. I met with God, and it changed my life. It literally changed my life forever. This experience was for real. Like, it impacted me 100%. So I ended up leaving the band and moving away from Mississippi, and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee to be a part of this church that was up there that I was really following online and learning a lot from, and honestly just felt this crazy tug and pull in my heart to move to Nashville. And I just did it. It was like a God invitation. And so I just made the move, and within 9 months of moving to Nashville, I got picked up by this pastor of the church I was going to. His name was Lyndall Cooley, and started playing these four-day revival services in this big church in Daphne, Alabama. And little did I know that just within literally a year of making my mind up to quit playing in that rock band and kind of put all my eggs in the church basket, that within 9 months I would be employed by a huge church ministry, playing music and really getting set up for what would be one of the biggest turn of events in my life. So basically, I was just, at this church. I was taking classes online, but I was seeing things that were just blowing my mind, So I was like low man on the totem pole. I was playing drums and helping, pack up stage equipment for these services that we were doing. But the people I was meeting and just the atmosphere I was in, it was like, dude, it was revolutionizing my life. I was learning so much. It was incredible. And so I remember at the end of what was 8 or 9 months of me just playing drums and helping out, I was like, you know what, this has been cool. I want to get back to Nashville, and I had some friends up there I'd fallen in love with, and I was like, I'm gonna keep moving forward in my life. This has been a cool season. And it was the very last day that I was to be at that church, just as a drummer, and I was packing up my gear, and I was saying goodbye to everybody, and then everybody, the worship leader, Lydia, Stanley Morrow, was like, hey, Pastor John wants to talk to you. I was like, all right. I kind of felt like I want to say goodbye, maybe he's going to slide me some money or something. And then his son, John Michael Kilpatrick, was like, hey, Pastor John wants to talk to you. And I was like, all right, I know. And then someone else was like, hey, Pastor John. I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to him. So I go back there to talk to, Pastor John, and, I was like, all right, bye. We weren't super tight, And he was like, listen, I was driving home the other day, and I feel like, man, I should offer you this opportunity. He's like, what would you say about becoming the youth pastor here at the church? And it was just it was like destiny. It was crazy. It was like this weird moment, and I was like, are you, I hadn't even thought about it. It was such a crazy, weird experience, and in retrospect, it had made sense. Every little small season, it was ready. I was perfect for this type of a challenge, but at the time, I wouldn't have even known to ask for it or go after it. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I waited a couple days and prayed about it and talked to some people, but I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so that was 2012. It was my first youth pastorate, or 10, something like that. And, it's 2019, October 2019, and I basically have been a full-time ministry the whole time. In 2016, 15, I got licensed with the Assemblies of God. So I'm card-carrying, credentialed minister. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. I still can't believe this is the way my life looks. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind. I promise, for the first 2 or 3 years, my prayer wasn't God, help me, anoint me, help me speak, help me love these people, and it was literally, God, please don't let me say the F word. Please don't let me drop the F-bomb in front of all these people. Jesus help. It was super tough. It was super crazy, Nothing could have prepared me for this. And it just all came so fast, and I made so many mistakes. God, I'm so grateful for the opportunity that John Kilpatrick, the John Kilpatrick, gave me, in all my, just, I was so young, I was so inexperienced. The first youth the youth group I ever, attended was the one that I was in charge of. It was just, I made every mistake in the book, besides the big ones that would have totally ruined me. And God was just so, faithful, but I have so much love for that man, because he took a huge chance on me, and it might not have made sense in the moment, but it changed the course of my life. So I love you, John Kilpatrick, for real. Thank you. And so my first couple years, I had to make every mistake with everybody watching. Pastor John is a prominent guy. He's well known all over the world. And here I am, a 22, 23-year-old single, rock and roll, freaking maniac, crazy dude who's now in charge of, students, minors. It was what? How is this a good idea, And I think everyone knew it, but and so a lot of people say a lot of bad stuff about the church, and man, I've seen it all. My eyes are not, there's no wool pulled over my eyes, but man, just the graciousness of the people around me, the love I experienced, I've seen the goodness of the church, the God stuff in there, and it is beautiful. It's beautiful. And I think about how everybody's throwing rocks and all this stuff at the church, and it's I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for, I'm crying, man. I didn't expect this. I love the church. I think it's got some areas to grow, absolutely. But what it's done for my life, the big one, not a church, but the body of Christ, I believe in it. I believe in it, and I think this is what being called to something looks like. Is you care, I care about a lot of stuff, but not a lot of stuff I'll tear up on like this in a moment, And so, but that was 10 years ago, excuse me. That was 10 years ago, and it's taken me this long to really figure out, okay, so I'm a minister, I'm a pastor, but who am I? I'm not okay, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm called to, but pastor is not a personality profile. Being a minister isn't a, that's not an identity. I'm still Simon. I'm still the dude that grew up with long hair and thinks tattoos are cool and whatever. Me. That person. I have to figure out how to do this, and it's really taken 10 years to find my voice and find my identity and get secure in who I am. And I really feel like I'm stepping into the person that God's really called me to be. And obviously I'm a work in progress. Obviously years from now I'm going to look at this and be like, oh my God, I didn't know anything. But it's been a journey for me, That's me in a nutshell. And every once in a while I still have to pray that prayer. God, please don't let me say the F word. Please. So thank you all, and I hope this video helps somebody or doesn't help somebody, but it was a lot of fun making it. So love you guys.